right, so we just finished wrapping up with signing. Next, we'll be going to the new development project. I don't think you guys have seen it yet in person, so this will be the first time we all go out there.
Me and God been locked in, and since I got the king involved, I don't know where my ops been. Where y'all at? Spirit been speaking through me. Dago, let's make a movie. Demons can't move me, I'm rock solid like King Boomy. My padre been making hits, I'm batting 100 truly. Lucy, get out my face, I said I don't need a groupie.
Alrighty, so we're at the new dev project. Just a quick little preliminary view. We have, like I said, 2 lots sitting on this property. Right here, you see 2 buildings, one the main house and then the garage apartment. We're actually starting demo on this one, ASAP. And so the plan would be, like I said, sell a lot and then build on the other lot just to drive my land pad prices down a little bit. So yeah, that's a little quick preliminary on the lot play. If you want to get more details on what I'll be doing with this project, watch this video up here and you'll get to see the full ins and outs of this entire project. Where are we gonna start at?
I told you 2 weeks, man, but I just gonna take about 3 days, man. Because, yeah, so, but cause I have to disconnect the gas, the water line.
Do I need to call a center point for that? The gas kill?
I'm gonna do all that. Okay. So
I don't want to explode it, man.
Yeah, I just need a favor of you, but when we started to do the concrete and all that, you have to get the permits and all that, and
yeah,
we're gonna do the job.
So when you want to start with demo?
By tomorrow.
Let's do it. All right, so we had a pretty eventful day so far. First at closing, then we checked out the new dev, which I think things are going good at. Locking in, solidifying plans. Pretty much all that's left, is now starting. So hope you guys enjoyed the day in the life. I hope I shared a lot of insightful things. If I did not, my bad. We decided to purchase this property for $350,000. The property is actually 2 lots. So we'll be getting a 2-in-1 deal. Had a chance to speak with my lender about it, and we decided that because this would be my first project, it'd probably be best to sell a lot and then build on the other one, just to kind of bring down my cost basis for the pad or for the lot, and also, again, not go too high in construction prices as far as capital. So, like I said, that's kind of the play for this one. Now, we're in a pretty rapidly changing area in Houston. On this specific street, there's numerous 800, 900,000, even $1 million properties just scattered throughout the street. So when I kind of saw this lead, I thought about it. And I was like, man, this would be pretty much one of the best opportunities that I've seen in Houston, where you can get a lot for affordable pricing and also kind of reach that luxury pricing on the sell side. Like I said, that was kind of what went into the decision of me deciding to buy this lot. So anyway, yeah, just going in. And yeah, that's kind of the game plan for this project. With the timeline on this project, today is actually February 26th. I had another closing before this. So we'll be intending on demoing this property starting tomorrow, February 27th. It should take roughly between 3 days to a week to get all that complete. And then after that, plans are expected to be completed next week as well. So we'll submit those to the city. Get that approved, and then we'll be ready to break ground. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're able to have this project completed by August of this year, which will be the summer. Hopefully that we can reach that timeline. So that should roughly be around 6 months or so from, actually probably closer to 7, because I closed on this one last month, from completion to end. So we'll see if we're able to meet those timelines or those expectations. But that's kind of the expectation that I have so far on the project. All right, so we'll give a little quick breakdown of what we think the numbers would be on this project. So like I said, on the sell side, we're thinking about $800,000. I'll be the final sales price of this project. And as far as what build costs, we'll be in roughly about $400,000 or so. You'll have your 6% realtor fees. I think I can do a little bit better than that, given the fact that I'm a high volume client for my realtor. You kind of negotiate your realtor fees, but then also on the land cost side, currently we're at $175. Once I sell off this other lot, that's going to drive those prices or that price down quite a bit. So honestly, I'll probably be in all-in land costs between 100, maybe a little bit better, but I would say about 100 to 150 with land costs. Essentially, we're expecting to reach about 175 to 200 as far as profit on this deal. Now, this will be my first ever project, so you guys will get to see as we go along, whatever hiccups come up, whatever it is, if I get to reach that price point. But that's what I'm assuming so far. And I was being pretty conservative on those numbers, so I think we should reach there. But hey, that's the great thing about this whole journey is we get to find out. Only time will tell. So as you see right now, we're currently in the process of demolition.
coming straight off a slump. A crazy motherfucker named Nipsey.
I think last time we did a video, you saw that we were speaking about demolition and kind of the process of that. Like I said, it's real estate. You're gonna run into problems, and that's just part of it. So we hit a few delays as far as with the inspection on getting the demolition permit. We had to cut certain power lines. There's all sort of things that we had to do to pass inspection that I just wasn't expecting. I think me and my GC, because it was something new, you know, it kind of hit us from nowhere. Just passing that took like literally 2.5 to 3 weeks. Just getting to the point now where, as you see behind us, you know, we finally were able to demo the house. We demoed both. So there's that house right there, and then the main house, you know, both got demoed pretty much within a day. Now we're kind of like in the trash pickup part of the demolition process. Also, I want to give you guys, like I said, an in-depth breakdown of this entire journey. This is kind of phase one of that. And so phase one, like I said, was demolition. The kind of behind the scenes that you guys don't get to see is the planning and permitting on the architectural side. So we're currently going through that right now as well. So I'm having to deliver like a water capacity letter to the city. We're having to submit, you know, basically the pre-approval plans. And then we'll wait for about a month for that process, from what I was told, to be able to get that approved. So today is March the 18th. We're expecting to have plans back approved from the city around like April 20th or so. So just to add in a little cushion, I would say probably by the end of April, we should be approved by the city to break ground and start the project. My initial timeline was to have this almost 80% complete by August, so that we'd be able to have at least somewhat of the body of the frame of the house listed on market, and, you know, hit the real estate market at its peak, which is always those summer months. And so I think we're a little bit behind, but I think we're still on track to reach those goals and be able to reach the project timeline that I initially set out for. My insight so far on this process, and something I would have done differently, is I think being better communication with my architect and really see how we can expedite the process to the quickest way possible. Because I spent probably double the amount of fees that I needed to on architectural plans, because I bought 2 sets of plans from 2 different architects. So I initially bought a set of plans online for them to model after, and then I also had the other architect go back and basically make modifications. So I paid for the same plan twice. Essentially, with the second one being modifications that fit the city's code and guidelines. Also, another update on this one is, so I did receive an offer for both of these properties at $470. I didn't accept that offer. We were a little bit, I feel like, overpriced with the lot, which I didn't care because it was just wasting time. Now that we cleared the lot, I think that we're going to relist it, cleared, drop the price a little bit, and hopefully sell within these next 30 days. I think pricing a little bit more aggressively will help us on that end. And so, yeah, pretty much that's been, you know, so far the entire process for what I've learned in phase one of the new development process. Tag along, stay with me as we, you know, go throughout this process. And yeah, you'll see the journey from literally, you know, 0 to hero for a new development. Hey, you see the skyline behind you, man? Vibes.
What's going through your mind, Big Money?
It's very anxious, very nervous, man. It's my first time ever selling property. Nah, man, you know, it's another day at it, man. It's always cool to see whenever you, you know, have something in mind, a vision in place, and it turns out to be, you know, something that comes true in reality. So it's always a great thing. But yeah, man, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. That's the wise words for today.
Yeah, this sale is officially making Brent a trillionaire. So we got the most humble trillionaire in the game right here.
Glad to be a part of this. You guys, so today's a big payday. I'll show you guys how much I'm making. Cash the seller. Good old $0. That's it.
Hey, that's dinner today, baby. That's dinner today.
You know, for free skis.
You made it, bro.
For free skis, you know, that's what we work for. The good old $0. But no, in all seriousness, this is kind of more equity on the back end for my new development loan. So this one just pays that one down. I basically am in the land for like 100 or so, and everything else is construction costs. So that's why you see the big 0. It's not because I'm actually getting paid nothing, and this goes towards a bigger loan. This is just another step in the process. Like I said, we still need the build the home and sell it. But phase 1, I think we're complete at, and we're, like I said, we're making great progress on the plans. We're 60% complete on that, so that's great news, because they always talk about how slow the city of Houston is with the plans and permitting section. So to be able to speed race through that and obviously sell the lot is great.
The 4th.
Yeah, I was in Houston all week for like other projects, and so that's why I was like, let me try to get this done while I'm in Houston. All right, so we just finished signing with the closing. All went well. So we're either going to finalize today or Monday. Today's a Friday for official documents and paperwork. But like I said, we got phase 1 out the way, which is a positive. All right, so we're back again, like I said, at the project. We're already past all the city inspections, approval, and all that. So yesterday, the foundation guy came out and he said, hey, where's the reference points? I said, what are you talking about? He says we need 4 reference points to start the actual form boards of the property and to actually start pouring everything down. So I'm going to walk you guys and kind of show you what they're talking about. So the slab of the actual property would be about 2,200 square foot. And so this is kind of like a rough estimate, but essentially what they're saying is they need a corner, like roughly like around here, staked off for obviously accurate markers, and also it gives you the elevation to know how much concrete you need to pour in order for the slabs. So you'll walk back here, and essentially you would need another corner kind of staked off for that. And so this is something that your survey company can do. I'm really just kind of going over this because for any new builders, it's something to look out for, as I was not told beforehand that this was necessary in order to start, or otherwise I would have had it done. Also, an interesting development is I've had 2 or 3 surveys done in the past, and on my most recent, as I told you guys before, I was selling one of the lots and I was keeping one of them, right? And so there's a discrepancy between the county appraisal website as far as what they had the lot listed as square foot size, and then what the survey company came back with. And we're like, how is this big of a discrepancy? Because it's roughly around like 2,000 square feet or so. And so I'm going to show you guys where they messed up and then kind of like what actually happened. And so if you look, like let's go right here, for instance. So I think originally they had the lot lines somewhere like around here as far as staked off, and they thought that the lot ended right here. And so then if you look more recently, it's like right here. And I actually think it's even further over here, but I need to still confirm with them. So anyway, this discrepancy within the lot came back, and that happened while I was selling off the other lot. So they came back and they said, hey man, like, we see on the county it says that it's this amount of square footage. Everything is saying that it's not, but then the most recent survey said that it's not that big. So, we're not going to pay the price that we offer, given the fact that it's smaller than what we thought it was. So I said, okay, that's fine. It makes sense. Obviously, I wasn't going to be a stickler about it, and I agreed to let them, basically pay $15,000 less on the lot than what was previously agreed upon, right? And with that, when the most recent survey that was done that the city required, the survey company for one took a lot of delays, and I was like, man, you guys have already been out there, like, what's the issue with this delay? Well, come to find out, they were wrong on the square foot, and actually what was told at the very beginning and the county's lot size was actually a lot more accurate than what they had, because they hadn't accounted for easements that the other properties had on our property, or encroachments, one or the other, on our property, and they didn't account for that square foot. So it came back when they actually did, do their proper due diligence, that our lot was a lot bigger, and that her lot was around the size that what was initially told to her. And so yeah, I'm in a weird situation right now where I'm having to like file against the title policy. That's why you need to always go through your proper measures in order to, sell properties, so that you can file against title insurance, because the survey that was done for the title insurance on this one and that was approved was wrong. So yeah, that was a situation that didn't expect to find myself in. Yeah, now we're having to kind of go through that process to recoup the money that was lost on their mistake of that. So they've already admitted to being wrong. There's a lot of just challenges already that's been faced, but again, like I said, it's not to be, not expected, especially given if it's something new, if that you're in a field and that you have not previously been through before. You're kind of gonna, hit your head, bump your head on things throughout the entire process. After months of waiting, designing, planning, and everything else that comes with it, the time has officially come to start on my first new build project. This whole idea started with just a vision and a sketch. And I wanted to create something that was modern, warm, and kind of visionary for this area in order to build something I felt inspired by, especially to go back in years on the future and say, like, this is something I'm proud of for my first official new build. And so that's what I'm trying to do, and that's why I'm being very intentional every step of the way during this process of learning, growing, and everything else. So as you see behind me, the lot has been cleared, the excavation has been done as well, and we set up the form boards on the project to basically start foundation for the entire project. And so I'll kind of give you guys a tour over what's been done so far, where we're at in the stages of the project, and what to expect next as far as moving along in the process. So as you look right here, you'll see that the trenches have been dug, and so this trench work is essentially for obviously your underground plumbing, which is basically one of the first stages of breaking ground in a new development project, is that you need all of the underground plumbing to be done. Basically just to make the whole process a lot easier. Obviously, because if you do the foundation work first, then it's like, well, where is all of this going to go, especially with underground plumbing. We had quite a bit of trench work. Now, it didn't take too long overall. I think it was maybe like a 2 or 3 day process. We had everything marked off and sealed, where you can't really see it right now, but where we would put basically markers where the toilets would go, sinks, kitchen, everything that needed plumbing, especially on the first floor, was marked off. And obviously we had the trenches dug in order to accurately match that process. And so what's next essentially is that we need to pass inspection on the underground plumbing to make sure that everything has been done properly. This is called like the top off phase. But once that passes inspection, then the next part of the process will be for the rebar part to take place for the foundation. That way we can start pouring and start framing, essentially after that. So look, man, we're here. The time has finally come where everything is moving in place and in motion, and it's good to finally see things manifest in reality for that. So yeah, that's kind of the phase that we're at right now. Is I guess the vertical stage, the infancy of the vertical stage. And these are part of the process that you guys need to know for the whole thing. Essentially, even with the form boards, the form, it is exactly what it says it is the form is for basically forming the cement that'll be taking place and poured here just in a matter of a few weeks or a few days. That's pretty much phase one of this entire process. I'm gonna keep you guys updated, obviously, as we go further and further in, but it's nice to finally see some real action being taken place here after so long of just having like dirt and everything be a vision at this point. So right now we're in a foundation phase. That means grading the lot, setting the footing, and making sure that your underground plumbing is placed correctly. This is super vital and very important to the whole process, because once the slab is poured, there is no going back. And if you do go back, it's going to cost you thousands on thousands extra to break up the slab and redo whatever mistakes have been made. So that's why it's essentially vital to make sure that everything is done basically on the front end. That way you don't have to be penalized on the back end of these costs. And so I'm trying to be very diligent, especially with this being my first project, to make sure that we're doing this properly, because I don't want to go over budget on this one. And obviously I don't want to make any mistakes that could be prevented if I just properly do the proper measures beforehand. So I know it's a little bit hard to tell, but I'm gonna show you guys around the floor plan just so you guys can kind of get the early vision of what I plan on building. So if you look right behind me right here on this side, this will be where the entire kitchen area is. So I'm assuming that this is probably the sink area right there, or kitchen area right here. And then if you look on this other side right here, this will be where your master bathroom will be placed. So you'll have the shower over here. You'll also have, obviously, your bath and sinks over here as well, or vanities over there. And so pretty much the portion that we're standing at right now will be leading into the garage. So at first we actually had this flipped on the other side, but due to some of the, I think, like forestry rules that they had in place, we had to flip or mirror the other side of the project to make sure that we weren't spending any extra, money on having to build trees to place on a property, and also not have to waste time going through that entire process. Basically going through another department to pass. Rather, if we can just kind of avoid it by flipping the entire floor plan, we just, decided to do that it makes sense, honestly. And so, yeah, I think obviously the open floor plan concept is still one of the floor plans I like the most, especially in, today's age. I think just having that open space makes the house feel a lot bigger. You want to feel like you have space. That's kind of one of the reasons why I chose this layout or this floor plan. And it'll also be interesting. Now, obviously, you guys won't be able to see this until the framing phase, which will be in a few weeks. I also am kind of in the middle of a decision right now where if I want to keep a movie room or turn it into a 4th bedroom. So I think I need you guys' help on what you would prefer to see in this project, whether it be a movie room, which I think would be pretty cool, but also a 4th bedroom, which could add in a lot of potential profit on the back end of this deal on the sales side. So that's kind of a little bit of the debacle that I'm in with that. But again, you guys won't see that, truthfully until the framing phase, which is, still about a few weeks out. I think one of the only other things that we have a patio area, which will be back here as well. And the issue with the patio area that I'm kind of seeing is that it looks like the backyard isn't going to be as big as I want it to. So we're going to have to try to figure something out to maximize a full backyard space. That's one of the good selling points, especially in this area, is that you can still be, really close to downtown, 5 to 10 minutes, but still have like a backyard. So that's one of the key selling points I feel like that this area has over other similar areas in Houston, especially with proximity to downtown. And so I'm going to try to maximize that space as well, just to make sure that we capitalize on, every advantage that we have overall. And so, yeah, this one will have also a flex space, which, essentially is another word for an office space. But you can pretty much do, I guess, whatever you want to. Most people use it, as an office for this one. So, yeah, given the fact this is my first floor plan, we'll see how everything turns out. So far, so good as far as, what me and my architect have kind of went back and forth with. But yeah, I think, like I said, just seeing things actually start to manifest and make a turn in reality is definitely a rewarding process overall. And even though right now it's still kind of dirt work essentially and all the underground stuff, you still see work is being done. So it feels like, we're moving closer and closer towards that finish line. And yeah, man, I'm going to put a challenge on myself that I want to get this one done by August. I think today is around like May 21st. So I have roughly, give or take 60 days to get this one completed. And that's kind of the goal that I'm headed towards on this one is let's get it done while we can in the summer months. That way we can capitalize at least on all the potential buyers that are, looking to move and buy a property during the summer, because that's the most common. Obviously, you have children, and you don't want to have them move schools during the school year. So the obvious choice is just to move during the summer. And so that's kind of my thoughts behind this one. Let me know if you guys have any tips as far as something different or, something aesthetically pleasing I could do during this process that you guys might want to see incorporated. And I might take your advice, man. If it's a good idea, I don't mind, taking it. Just don't charge me for it. So yeah, just to conclude and everything that I've kind of talked about in today's video, once we get this inspection passed and actually pour the concrete and the foundation, I think this is really going to start to take form and really start to look like a house. And so you guys are going to see it go pretty rapidly and pretty quickly, which is always the coolest part of the process. Again, is, you go from so much mental work, and so seeing it, translate into the physical world is always, like I said, a very rewarding process. And so, yeah, man, this is my first ever house build. So you're going to see everything, the ups and the downs, the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows. I mean, the entire process, the entire journey, I'm going to share with you guys. I'm not going to cut anything out. So you guys will see it, 100% raw and authentic the entire way. And so if this is something that interests you, then yeah, subscribe, follow along in the process, and keep tabs on everything that's going, because I think that this can be mutually beneficial for both parties, where I get to just have the freedom of documenting the journey so that I can look back on it years in the future, and you guys can learn as I'm going through it, literally step by step, phase by phase of the entire process. And so just to give you guys a little bit of my goals, pretty much milestones I want to hit. Like I said, I plan on listing this one in August. We'll see if I hit that. I plan on listing this one. Now the market is in a pretty weird space right now, given the tariffs and everything. I think I could get $850 for this one. Now, what I wrote numbers for, we always want to be conservative. So you always want to be conservative. As I wrote the numbers at 800, but I think we can get 850. And if we can, then we'll hit about that 250 profit margin on this one. Now, if we hit about 800, you're getting about closer to 175 to 200. Either way, a win is a win. And that's why you need to also buy your properties off market, because you already buy equity within the deal. And so if the market turns, you guys are essentially able to take that hit while still coming out in the green, which is obviously, this is a business. That's the main goal, is you want to be profitable in whatever project that you take on. And so yeah, man, like I said, if this is something that interests you, then follow along. All right, you guys, so as you see, we're back with another video. This time, we're doing the foundation stage of the entire new build process. Throughout this process right now, as you see behind me, they're currently doing the rebar, and then we're gonna pass the inspection today, fingers crossed, in order to start actually pouring the foundation tomorrow. And we're gonna let it sit for about a week, and then we can start the framing process. But yeah, man, like I said, the past few weeks have been pretty tumultuous as far as we've had weather delays. A horrible issue popped up as far as with one of my GCs that I had running with the plumbing. I got $4,000 stolen from me pretty much from that project. So I had to cut that guy out the way. And yeah, man, but like I said, this entire process is a learning experience, and I don't really blame anyone except myself. I should be accountable, dot all my I's, cross all my T's for every step of the way. So yeah, over this video, I'll pretty much go over, what to expect as far as with the foundation process, what's coming up next, the budgets, everything that we have going on is pretty much what this video will entail. So yeah, stay tuned. All right, so as you guys see, we're on site. We got the guys out here working, man. Looks like the rebar process, we're pretty much done. It looks like they've pretty much wrapped up everything. So earlier this week, I was supposed to actually have this one, I would say, finished about 2 or 3 days ago, but we had some pretty bad weather the past few weeks, so that kind of delayed, obviously, this. And then we were waiting on passing the underground plumbing inspection. And, just to give you guys a little bit of detail of what kind of happened with that full experience. So we did pass the underground plumbing inspection, but the issue was that how I had the proposal set up with the GC that was running it, he pretty much front-ended all of his profit. And so he needed another draw in order to order materials, which on the initial proposal, the materials were supposed to be purchased with all that money in the deposit. It was not. Needless to say, there was a big feud between us on that one. Things did not end well. He is no longer on this project because of that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be a little bit more hands-on throughout this entire process and not really delegate, too much out. Obviously, I can't actually do the handyman work, but as much as I can be on site, boots on the ground, I'm gonna be throughout this process, just because so far, man, just delegating stuff off with other people that haven't proven themselves has not worked out for me. So I'm going to, like I said, be a lot more boots on the ground throughout this entire process. But yeah, let's kind of walk throughout the project, see what's going on, see what's next, and yeah. All right, so also I've seen someone say, which is a good point in the comments, that this area did not look like an $800,000 to $1 million home should go in there. If you look to my left right here, you'll see 2 new homes that were just built, obviously on the same street, and those both sold for I think mid-7s. And then further down the street, as you go on, you'll see all types of different $800,000 to $1 million homes on the street. So you brought up a good point, but that's not the case with this exact project. So I did want to touch on that for, you know, everyone kind of interested or curious why I decided to build in this neighborhood specifically. So yeah, I don't truly know too much in total aside from with the rebar exactly what we have, you know, but I know obviously it strengthens the concrete whenever it's poured. But yeah, so as you see, they're laying it right now, goes in grids 4x4s on this process. And then I guess, yeah, they're just pretty much laying it down, get ready for prep work. You see the mats and tarps down and pour tomorrow on that process. Love to see it, love to see all boots on ground, everyone, all hands working. That way, you know things are being done efficiently and fast, and we're getting closer and closer to that deadline. So like I said, the next phase will be obviously framing for this. Framing should take about roughly 2 weeks. So like I said, we'll pour tomorrow. Fingers crossed we pass inspection. Once we pour the foundation, then we'll be ready for framing and have that whole process and get ready for the rough ends after that. So yeah, man, like I said, we're speeding along. I gave myself a 60-day deadline. I think that was roughly about 9 days ago. So I think with the weather delays, we hit about 2 or 3 of those days that were unusable, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, I think I'll keep you guys updated. I'm gonna try to make this all one video just so we're not just harping on kind of the same things. So when I catch you guys again, the foundation should be poured, and I'll kind of go over what has happened throughout that timeline or that process and what everything looks like. But as of now, you see the project is being done. We're, like I said, steady moving forward. So that's a great thing. So I'll catch you guys on the next segment of the video. So as the last video, you guys saw the rebar process taking place. Now, as you see behind me, the foundation has been poured, which is obviously a great milestone and achievement of this entire new home build process. So now we sit and wait. We have to let the foundation or the concrete cure and dry for the next few days. Luckily, we live in Texas where it's like 100 degrees every day in the summer. So that should, you know, expedite the process by quite a bit, luckily. So yeah, I think we'll let it sit for about 4 to 5 days, and then we'll begin the framing process later on this week. So yeah, man, like I said, it's definitely just cool to see, you know, everything kind of now really going into motion. Like I said, now we're getting sticks up here in a few days, and the house are really start to, you know, come along pretty rapidly. So I think we had left off where we need to pass inspection. The foundation sub is really good, man. So we passed inspection on the first run, no issues about that. They started literally that next morning with pouring, came out like super early. So yeah, we were able to get that one taken care of pretty quickly. So yeah, as we walk around, you can kind of see everything really start to take shape with the entire process. So like I said, this would be the whole like master area as far as master bathroom, master bedroom, you know, on pretty much this entire side. You have the living area back here, and then you have the garage area right over here. And you start to see, like, you know, obviously different elevations, and that's just what the plans called for, you know, on this. So you drop down here, this will be your garage. We have a 2-car garage. I just need to see it framed up, but I'm not sure if it'll be, you know, if it can truly fit 2 cars or not. I don't know, I'm a little bit skeptical of that. But then as you come back here, you guys will see, you know, again, like I said, this is a living space over here. The dining area will be placed right here. And then as we step foot on this side, we'll see that this is where your patio area is gonna be. Again, we're gonna need to try to maximize backyard space, you know, best way possible. So still gotta kind of brainstorm some ideas of how to really maximize that space. But ultimately, man, like I said, the ball is rolling. We're ready to rock and roll. So I really am like appreciative and thankful for all the help, you know, the support on the YouTube channel, just people in real life, you know, just everything it takes, because it really is a lot, especially on your first new build. And I don't really have like a direct mentor. I kind of like this kind of, don't get me wrong, I got people I can rely on, but I'm trying to play it, you know, myself, just so I can learn and absorb all the information, you know, as much as possible, so that, you know, my next project, I can kind of handle it myself and you know, do better each build. So the build process is coming along pretty well. As of today, I think we're like June 8th. So like I said, I want to really, by the end of next month, have some really solid framing and everything kind of roughed in. That way, we can kind of pre-list this thing and get it on market for a potential pre-sale on this one. And like I said, take advantage of those summer months, you know, where all the buyers are really looking to you know, move and take home a new home essentially. So yeah, man, like I said, next will be framing. Oh, and I'll give you guys the pricing of what I paid. Like I said, I want to be as transparent as possible on this entire process. And so to break down the cost, this was like a turnkey project as far as the foundation. So I paid $29,588 plus a $400 permitting fee. So we're looking at like literally right at 30K in total. The slab, I think in total was $22.68 for that. So I can't even think off the top of my head how much that was per square foot, but I think we were at like 13 when we negotiated. I think we were like $12.50 to $13 a square foot in total. I know that's a little bit more than what I would like to pay, and I probably could have cut costs honestly, but given the fact that I had already done a previous job with this sub or this contractor, I knew that he would get the job done and he would be fast with it. So sometimes you have to pay a little bit more for speed and trust and integrity. Like I said, mentioned in the earlier video, I had already had experience with a contractor that I hadn't used before that kind of walked away with like $4 grand. So this guy, I knew he's proven trustworthy, and look, we're standing here now, you know, the end of his work and the result of it. So sometimes you have to pay a little bit extra for, you know, that ease of mind of knowing things will get done. So to finish up this video, yeah, like I said, we're now done. Foundation is complete. So that's another check mark off the checklist, you know. So that's a great sign of progress, you know, throughout this entire process. You know, is definitely getting now to the vertical stage, which, you know, consists of framing and everything else. Like I said, we'll be starting on that in a few days. So yeah, this entire process, this entire journey, I think should be pretty interesting in seeing how it unfolds throughout these next few weeks, few months. I really want to, like I said, hit that deadline of finishing this one out within the next 60 days or so. So like I said, we'll kind of gauge and see how, you know, align or match up with that entire deadline. And so yeah, this is the home building process, man. There's goods, there's bads, there's everything that comes with it. But, you know, again, it's a rewarding process overall for that. And even with the mistakes that I've made so far, there's nothing I'd take back. I'd still redo this process 100 out of 100 times. And so, yeah, man, if you guys enjoy, then stay tuned for this entire, like I said, home building journey and process. Subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do. Until next time, I'll catch you guys. Peace.